there's nothing more authentic than reconnecting with our roots. As the sun sinks below the horizon, a magical transformation unfolds. The skies above Umbria, among the clearest in Europe, are ideal for a fascinating stargazing experience. For thousands of years, the night sky has guided humanity, and tonight we'll partake in a ritual our ancestors once knew well. Each time we gaze upward, we are also looking back in time, as the light that reaches our eyes began its journey millions of years ago. Welcome to the second video of our channel Go to Umbria, exploring the heart of authentic Italy.
Ciao!
Hello! Welcome!
Thank you! Next to yours is okay? Yes? Should we park to use the lights to do something? No?
But if you want to see the sky,
No lights.
just get to the venue and come is that fun.
Okay.
It's a space shuttle. Okay, I collect always eraser from China because they are amazing. They have a lot of these stupid and silly things that I love so much. So I buy every time. So I have the white one, you have the gray.
Thank you so much.
You can paint even if you wish.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
It's an eraser. Of course, I don't use them like a razor.
Yes, we can use a normal razor.
Yeah,
as
it's
an
just
eraser,
on
and
the...
this is like a... Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I know that you like.
Yes, of course I do. Thank you. I'm here with Ima, and she's going to explain us all this experience we're about to have.
My name is Ima Tuccillo Castaldo. I represent Starlit Sky Gazing. I am a sky gazer. It means I observe stars and I show my clients stars, constellations, planets, and most of all, I tell stories about stars and constellations and sky. We will have this sky gazing party actually, and we are here in Sant'Erasmo di Terni. It's a very beautiful place, and even because historically Sant'Erasmo is a place where ancient folks spent time eventually to observe the sky. So we are in a very important place from historical point of view for Terni.
And I really like the way that Ima blends astronomy and history, because just like watching the stars, watching the sky is something amazing that I love, but the touch that she gives is just something that delights me, and we are going to do our best to transmit this in the video too.
Well, actually, it's not just astronomy, but we talk about cultural astronomy. And cultural astronomy, maybe many of you know already what is it. It's a discipline that, by the way, has almost 100 years actually. And it's about how astronomy impacts folks and mostly impact ancient folks. And so how we can find in mythology, in our stories, in what make our identity, cultural identity all over the world actually, how astronomy impacts us and how astronomy is in our culture through myth and legends and fairy tales even.
So yes, we are very excited. Let's get started.
Yeah, let's start our sky gazing party. It's not very clear. There is this veil, and it's very hot, still very hot. So it means that you will see the moon like moving. The image will be a little bit moving, but it's perfect. So we are using now 10 millimeters. And who wanna be the first to watch the moon?
Caralho! É muito fundo as crateras.
Yeah, they are very, very, very deep actually.
Olha! Meu Deus! Que lindo!
I was checking the satellites that we have around. With this app, I check if we have a passage of the International Space Station or the Chinese one, but there is not today. You are Capricorno, it's always there. And what about you? Aquario? Okay. You will see your constellation that is very faint because Saturn is in your constellation. So it's quite nice. I asked it to gather together and to eat together because actually this is part of what I call the cosmic laboratory actually. Why for me it's important? Because actually when I start my sky gazing, it's very romantic. When I started my sky gazing session, I try to explain people that there is something that we have to hold, and mostly it's about history. I try to explain that we have to consider a few milestones and in this case I do ask everybody to use the imagination, because it's all about imagination. Not just because imagination is something that is related with something that doesn't exist and we have to use the fantasy, but it's because it's our evolutionary indicator, the most important. We are symbolic animals, and so we have to use what our ancestors used. So imagination is the most important thing for us. The first milestone is to consider our shape, current shape. So the average said that we are like we are, I mean, as humans, as a sapiens okay, Homo sapiens sapiens, the average is 150 years, 150,000 years. The average actually is more. There are scholars that say something about 200,000 years. So it's quite a lot. And you will know why it's so important to have this milestone. The other milestone is considered when we started to use fire, okay? And it's something that go back 1 million of years ago. But we were not humans. I mean, there was not Homo sapiens species. There was hominidi, okay? They were our cousins, far cousins. But why is it so important? Because in the moment that our other species, our ancestors started to use fire, actually they started to need the resources to burn and to light the fire. It means that in that moment they started to manage the nature, to looking for resources. So this is another milestone. The third milestone, try to make this jump with your imagination, is just 10,000 years ago. It's when it was introduced the agriculture. So now, start to think. It's not about you go in a Lidl and you find everything you need. The agriculture means that it means thousand years trying and start something. Passing from the wildness and the foraging
to the agriculture, thinking about what you're doing. And so again, managing the nature. So that's another very important step for humanity. The fourth milestone is 5,000 years ago. Is when our ancestors, and when I say our ancestors, I mean all the culture, all the folks. We are not Brazilians and Italians in this case. When they started to write, so the writing invention. In that moment, the humanity, the mankind, was so full of knowledge that they needed to put it somewhere because it was too much. Until that moment, all the knowledge that they developed from the moment that we exist. And so that's why I told you the average is 150,000 years until the moment that we use the writing to express ourselves. It means a lot of knowledge, a lot of experiments, a lot of dealing with the nature and whatever. Between all these years, mankind has started to do something special, watching the sky. And plus, we do not know who was the first. We do not know if it was a man, if it was a woman, doesn't matter. But someone light a fire and in the center of a circle started to tell stories. And that stories are the myth, the legend, and they describe maybe what they were living, what they were experimented, what they were doing while they were planning the hunting all together, risking their own life, because there was not M16, okay, when you go to hunt. Now it's easier to make a safari, but we are talking about something. So, and it's very special because the other thing that we need to realize is that at some point, mankind started to think about sky and what this light meant to them. It's something special because it's not directly related with the reality. So it's almost useless. But that's why we became mankind, because we use imagination and we started to relate to something that was not apparently not connected with the nature. But actually, suddenly they understood that astronomy indeed was connected with the morphology of territory, because there is a cycle. And so they realized this. And that's the moment that started the knowledge and the science. So that's why it was so important. What we are doing here, that actually it seems so easy, it's the repetition of something that many thousand times it's happened all over the world. It's the way that is created a community, a folk, a clan, a family. So this is a very important gesture, something that is sacred. And when we eat together or when we gather together and under the sky, try to think about this. How many before you and what you bring inside your soul? You came from Brazil, guys. It's a very important place. I hope that you are aware of this. So, it's incredible. Okay, that's the first step of our evening together.
Some things are meant to be seen only with our eyes and stored only in our minds. The rings of Saturn and the Ring Nebula are among the wonders we gazed at. Yet our lenses fail to capture their beauty. The only way to truly experience them is by going there and witnessing them with your own eyes.
Thank you so much, Ima, for our stargazing session. It was just amazing. And I'm very curious to know, like, why you choose to explain the sky with so much, like, history and all these ancient details. Because you could simply just let us see the stars and the planets, which would be already so fascinating. But you go deeper, and what's the point?
The point is that astronomy is the first science, actually, and go back in 1,000 years before writings and writing, when the invention of writing. So I think that it's very important for us to understand where are our roots, and our roots actually are in the sky. And it's poetic, it's beautiful, it's amazing, and it's the way that I find to connect our present and our science, our way to understand the world, with the way that our ancestors used to understand the world and the reality. So that's why I decided to use mythology and to study, to go deep in mythology and cultural astronomy.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad that you like it and you
Amazing.
enjoy it.